Light from the sun can be used underground with fiber optics. I'm sure that's how they've done it in the past and how they're planning on living underground when they take it back underground, when they think they got it all figured out. I'm convinced we are batteries, and I'm looking for the safest method to recharge ourselves with the food that we eat and maybe the light. Some batteries spontaneously explode. Spontaneous human combustion causes temperatures hot enough to melt fat. That's pretty hard to imagine. Linseed oil sometimes, if you don't clean those rags right, they will catch on fire later. Now, the real question is, God gave food to people, manna. Did angels eat manna to live? Angels is called corn in the King James, grain in the English Standard Version, wheat in others, bread in the New King James Version. We'll look at that. Now, as for the other Elohim who will never be the Most High Creator, Lord Jesus Christ, those other Elohim cannot be the Most High. Maybe the other Elohim did eat grain and had, that whole Zeus world of whatever they were going on there. I'm looking at the possibility of a physicality to light. And also, I was struck by do we sound like ourselves when we hear ourselves on video or on a tape recorder? We usually do not. And I remember being young when tape recorders were invented and passed around, personal tape recorders with cassettes that you could, and people would always, is that what I sound like? It's funny. So, welcome everybody to Mud Flood was Armageddon. The Mud Flood was the Armageddon. Don't let them tell you anything else unless they're willing to debate you in a fair, honest, non-violent way. There's a lot going on in my life, and I care for a lot of people, and I know there's a lot going on in their life. People in Wisconsin and Illinois are getting hammered by storms this Monday morning. I'm going to show the thing, the disclaimer, and then, I'll look at a few pictures that I've downloaded that I want to share. Look, this is interesting. I found this interesting from the 1920s. I think I pulled this and left the video up. What the future looked like in 1920s. And they stated as they read a book and their quotes that in the white countries, even this girl here, she's a mistress, and they're thinking, even she may be wondering, how am I going to deal with life without a slave? Uh, uh, Believe it or not, that's what they were saying at this point at the article. This is an article with pictures from an article. What are they going to do? But unless you realize that's not it. This guy here with the ultra light. Nope, this isn't the light. Garlic wine and something what was called ox gall. So bile from the liver of a cow, and it cures infections. Huh. And the scientists just they can't believe it because those are some very inexpensive in the long run. Ox gall bile from a cow liver. I don't know, but it doesn't sound like it's like chemotherapy expensive. What's this? So, and this is from Underground Light Company. They sell underground lights, the Perrin system. They're going to light anything, all people in every room, even deep into the cave. I mean, the building can experience healthy, natural light. And I know that they've known that for a long time. Why didn't they do it? Because they hate you. This is a judgment that we're not looking forward to. Hey, Luther, I had my phone set up to where I could monitor this, but then it died. You had to refresh it every now and then. Hope you bear with me because I want to make sure this way I can see what I'm sharing. Why isn't it playing here? Oop, I got to turn it down. It's working. Good deal. Hallelujah. I saw your comment about the physicality of light. I know I asked a couple of people. Let's see what we got here. RJ is in the middle of a huge storm. Here's that thing about the 1920s. You guys with me on that? Look at this. White world. What's it going to be like in the 1920s? We're going to go up until where the courtesan, the mistress of a rich person,
to release the electron as a force. This force would last as long as matter, therefore as long as the Earth itself. The movies will be more attractive. As long as 22, they will have been replaced by the kinophone, which now exists only in the laboratory. That is, the figures on the screen will not only move, but they will have their natural colors and speak with ordinary voices. Thus, the stage as we know it today may entirely disappear, which does not mean the doom of art, since the movie actress of 2022 will not only need to know how to yell, but also how to talk. One might extend indefinitely on the number of inventions which ought to exist and will exist, but the reader can think of them for himself. And it is more interesting to ask ourselves what will be the appearance of our cities 100 years hence. To my mind, they will offer a mixed outlook, because mankind never tears anything down completely to build up something else. It erects the new while retaining the old. Thus, many buildings now standing will be preserved. One might extend indefinitely on the number of inventions which ought to exist and will exist, but the reader can think of them for himself. More interesting to ask ourselves what will be the appearance of our cities 100 years hence. It is conceivable that the Capitol at Washington, many of the universities and churches will be standing 100 years hence, and that they will, almost unaltered, be preserved by tradition. Also, many private dwellings will survive and will be inhabited by individual families. I think that they will have passed through the cooperative stage, which may be expected 50 or 60 years hence.
Okay, so they're looking for 40 years on from 1920, a cooperative stage where the United States and the other countries, they did allow union workers. My dad was hit that window where he was able to work as a union person and retire and be able to live comfortably, affording 2 bankruptcies from, well, mom liked to spend.
When the servant problem has become completely unmanageable.
The servant problem in 1920, the cooperatives they don't have a servant problem now, but in 40 years something's going to be unmanageable. Servants, slaves, how are the courtesans, the high-end mistresses going to make it? Because every house has one, I guess.
Private dwellings organize themselves to engage staffs to cook, clean, and mend for the groups. That cooperative stage will be the last kick of the private mistress who wants...
Okay, that cooperative stage is going to be the last kick. Whatever that lingo phraseology meant back there. I mean, to me, it implies it's over. It's the last kick of the primitive mistress. They're going to need a new type of mistress. Some girls grow up and say, you know what, being a mistress is good for me. It'll work. It's like early OnlyFans, I think, or sugar baby daddy.
Wants to retain in her household some sort of slave. In 2022, she will have been bent by circumstances, but she will have recovered her private dwelling.
So you know, the whores nowadays give it away in the butt while getting choked and then buried at the Zorro Ranch by Satanists. That's the world we live in. I don't know what this guy was thinking. There are no slaves working for mistresses. This is Satan loose, baby.
Being served for 7 hours a day by an orderly.
Well, she is giving it up for
To
a rich
engage
guy.
staffs to cook, clean, and mend for the groups.
Yeah.
That cooperative
What
state
It's playing the same thing over again. Nobody saw me. Hey, you. That's the famous actor Buster Keaton, I think.
It is conceivable, though not certain, that in 2022, a complete meal may be taken in the shape of 4 pills.
There you go. I wonder, here you go. Where is he getting this from? Who's he right?
That the world... What the World Will Be Like in 100
Oh, it's
Years.
from the New York Herald.
By W.L. George.
A 12-page
The New York
special
Herald,
section.
May 7th, 1922. There is a good old rule which bids us never prophesy unless we know. But all the same, when one cannot prophesy, one may guess, especially if one is sure of...
So all these things you heard were a guess. They guess about, of course, everything's going to be wireless. It's all about the women. They can vote now, you know, or pretty soon. Uh-oh, x-rays. Look at all the constipated people there were.
I am convinced that in 2022, the advancement of science will be...
The French race? I know they focus on how things are going to be better in the white world.
New rays in 2022, but the people whom they illumine will be much the same. From which the reader may conclude that I do not expect anything startling in the way of scientific discovery. That is not the case. I am convinced that in 2022, the advancement of science will be amazing, but it will be nothing like so amazing as is the present day in relation to 100 years ago. A sight of the world today would surprise President Jefferson much more, I suspect, than the world of 2022 would surprise the little girl who sells candies at Grand Central Station. For Jefferson knew nothing of railroads, telegraphs, telephones, automobiles.
Yeah, yappity yap yak dippity doo
To
dop.
many of my readers will, in my opinion, be good.
They don't have a stain of sin on them back then because they segregated it all out, and all the white people living in harmony with white slave mistress where's my white slave?
Essential that the American race should be capable of...
I'm beating a dead horse. That dead horse gotta go. What's this one about? Oh, this is a transcript about when Charlie Kirk got killed. The Rode microphone exploded, they say, because it sure wasn't a 30-06. That's my opinion. So it's been a cover-up that's leading us to Noahide laws championed by Roman Catholic Candace Owens, and then the Tucker Carlson. This was a pretty important video I was looking. Now, the RJ sent me this. I was very suspicious. But supposedly Blaze TV has been bought out from the Mormons. You know that guy from the Mormon guy. The guy that Rush Limbaugh propped up Glenn Beck. No, these guys are Baptists. Rick Burgess is very popular. This is Rick right here. I think I saved it at a correct time, but otherwise, I think I memorized. No, I don't have it at the right.
Have you ever seen a pheasant with gold and it's so stunning? You just step back and you think, shoot that thing.
Right. But then you get over
But then you get over it.
Right, yeah.
You think about
because you think about how good they taste.
how good they taste.
Right.
Well, I think that's why he chose that, is because it was a shimmering, beautiful color that walked upright. And it was probably, some theologians believe, the most,
Yeah, I guess you got to wait for a second here because I'm bringing it up on the YouTube.
probably some theologians believe the most, the Bible says the craftiest animal that was there. So the most intelligent of the animals, not anything like a human, but of an animal in the animal kingdom. And that's why he chooses that to approach. And then that's why God curses him to crawl on his belly.
So now we go to what appears.
Where'd you get that part at? Where the actual say, okay, we're going to save this guy. We're going to save him. I got a Bible verse here. I looked up this. What is transgressions? Because these guys, and when you look it up, it's like, who sinned? The devil deceived Adam and Eve, and they sinned. I was trying to go from memory. They transgressed. They became transgressors. The biblical account. Satan, the serpent, deceived Eve, who ate the fruit. Yep. She being deceived. Eve's sin was the result of being deceived. Okay. She was misled by Satan's cunning work. She got millstoned. She sinned. Adam, while present, it says he was not deceived, but we're going to look into that. He knowingly chose to disobey God's command. They're trying to make a bigger deal out of it because the main thing is, and they say it on the Baptist thing, and this is what they're going with now. Adam was not deceived. He chose sin. He chose to sin after Eve's example. All right. They summarize it with, in short, the devil's deception of Eve led Eve to sin. But Adam's choice to follow her brought the consequences for all humanity. Huh. Is that what you were going to say?
Appears to be the next choice.
Yeah.
I don't know how you get around that Lucifer was allowed choice.
Yeah.
Because he took it.
Yep.
Satan was allowed choice because he took it. You know, it looks like he's going to get into the lapse, the L-A-P-S-E, part of the root of one of the longest American words, English words, anti-lapsarianism? Anti-lapsarianism? Go.
A third of the angels were allowed choice. They bought in.
Yeah.
Only a third were allowed choice, or all of the angels were allowed choice, or all of the angels were known from the beginning? We don't know. We got mysteries in the Bible, secret things that belong to the Lord, revealed things that we teach our children. Deuteronomy 29:29, Mr. Burgess.
They've all been cast down to the earth, even though they still have access to heaven until the end times.
Yeah, I don't think this guy knows what he's talking about, but I'm only going to skip ahead very few seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently, Mac Brunson, and you can send all your emails to Mac.
Yeah.
They were allowed a choice because the serpent inhabited by Lucifer comes into
the serpent was demonly possessing a reptile? like the demons possessed the pigs that ran into the water? Are we sure?
Their presence
Yeah.
and deceives them, which, as you pointed out last week, Eve admits, Adam never does.
Adam never admits he sinned? Really?
Adam makes excuses.
Well, that's right.
Yeah, and you know, I love what you said.
Eve didn't. Eve got deceived, and yeah, it's on Adam. Adam.
Eve was deceived.
Yeah.
Adam sinned.
Yeah.
But
See,
anyway.
that's the YouTube got questions, which should make people think there's must be more to it. There could be more to it. Maybe we'll come back to it. These are transgressions from the Greek. I'm looking at the Hebrew here. The redemption of the transgressions were under the first covenant. We're looking forward to the second covenant. This is Melchizedek stuff. Am I right about that? Let's see. The mediator of the new covenant, so that those who are called may receive the promised eternal inheritance, since a death has occurred that redeems them from the transgressions, okay, the sins committed under the first covenant. If there is a will, heavenly things. Is there no Melchizedek in here? Christ appeared as a high priest. They could be part of it. But this here is in this here, I think 8 and 7 talk about Jesus. I know they mention Melchizedek first, like in chapter 5. Chapter 7, it really breaks it down. So there has to be something going on there. The whole thing was with transgressions. It's a sin. It's a sin, right? I mean, why are people talking about it like it's not a sin? Also, there is no transgression. Adam's transgression. Well, that seems pretty. Let's see. Is that because I was under the impression they were acting like Adam never, it never dawned on him that while we messed up and now there's thorns and things like that. Nevertheless, death reigned from Adam until Moses, even over those who did not sin in the way that Adam transgressed. He is a pattern of the one to come. Now, that's an interesting word, wouldn't you say? There was a pattern that, oh no, I think I have a slow internet, everyone. Could be because I'm using my phone, but I like it. Let's look up before we run out of internet, we'll look up Greek pattern. It really is like likeness. That's what we're looking at here. The likeness, the appearance. See, it's 5:14 here. The pattern. Because the exact likeness and pattern of the Most High Spirit God is Jesus Christ. It's from this word here, huh? 3666. Woo. Look at that. Where does it go after that? So in Revelation, they looked like locusts. And if I'm not mistaken, these can hurt you for 5 months. It reminds me of this cheese that's called no Gouda. In appearance, the locusts were like horses prepared for battle. On their heads were what looked like crowns of gold. Their faces, their tails had stingers like scorpions, and they could hurt the people for 5 months. Ow. Nobody's looking forward to anything like that. All right, so we got that. It's a sin. I think we should just say Adam sinned, and whenever there's a new gimmick going around, like, in short, there's something going on here that you should focus on instead of realizing Adam and Eve figured out pretty quick from the thorns and the crying and the childbirth and that, yeah, we messed it up. Uh, Obviously, it wasn't going to be Cain. He was not the answer. Who are you?
Had a burning cigarette fall into his pants. Now I want to tell you about something else that will make your blood boil. And I came across this. I was watching a
So this
video
guy
by
with a burning cigarette fell down his pants. He's black, so the cops thought he was smoking meth, and they anal searched him twice. And say he wants to add to that. This guy,
reason.com. Go look it up about anal body cavity searches and see their video. They did a great 7-minute piece on it. And that particular situation is what I'm about to talk about in a moment. So I want to tell you about something, again, that will make your blood boil. In cases where officers decided a roadside search was not enough, they took people to hospitals, had doctors perform invasive medical procedures on them,
That's right.
found nothing.
that would be an anal probe. Who are these aliens? And they found nothing on them, and like the Chinese Mao Zedong, the communist guys and those killers, I think even, well, I don't think it was limited to the atrocities to the communist side, that's for sure, because Chiang Kai-shek was no prince. They would kill somebody for, suspected treason, and then bill the family for the bullet they had to use. I'm going to back this up a second. I want to hear, are you still mad about something?
Perform invasive medical procedures on them, found nothing, and then sent the victim a bill. Let me say that again. Police forced innocent people into hospitals, had medical procedures performed on them against their will. I'll put a link to that reason.com YouTube video in the description. Watch that.
Oh, yeah. And we kept saying, boy, if things get any worse, I'm going to do, I'll be so mad. It's like looking in the mirror if I was younger and more handsome with better teeth.
Correct?
Yes.
Okay. When that happens, because
What's going on? I thought,
if those of you who are following and are biochemists, that's a negative delta G, which means it's a spontaneous reaction. Here's the issue, though. Okay, here's the issue is when that electron goes from one area to the other, you can imagine now that the area that it left is now positively charged, and the area that it's going to is now negatively charged, correct?
Yes.
Okay. When that happens, because this is happening in water, and water is
What'd you
there's going
call
to be a
me?
change in the orientation of those water molecules, right? The water molecules that were over here before that were around the neutral protein are now going to be flipped around in a way because they have to buffer this positive charge. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's childistic. I get it.
And similarly, the opposite for the negative charge. So in other words, there's an energy of reorganization that occurs. So that's not captured in the equation of the free energy. There is a barrier to that electron moving there. And that barrier is not just the free energy. There's an activation energy that occurs, and there's a reorganization energy.
Get out of here. Get out of here. Because of light? What is he even yapping about?
In ICUs by 30%, and they're coming out more actually stronger and less need of physical therapy. And the list goes on and on, the number of randomized controlled trials that show that sunlight, and specifically infrared light, is having this effect at the mitochondrial level in humans that are healthy and humans that have diabetes and chronic disease.
Okay. That's a great overview. As you're
Yeah.
sharing that, it gets me thinking about infrared saunas.
Yes.
Is there any connection there between what's going on with a far infrared sauna?
Right. If you can't do a sweat lodge, that would be good to do an infrared sauna. I've owned 2 or 3.
delivering infrared light like we see in many of these studies where there is benefits. What I don't know is whether or not infrared saunas are superior to somebody just making more time outside in the sun.
You know what? They're good for sweating, but even they do not get hot enough. Once you're used to sweating and really want to get your stretch on, an infrared sauna does not heat up enough on its own to come close to what would resemble a sweat lodge.
Okay. Good
Okay.
answer.
Oh, yeah. I wanted you one more time. Well, go ahead.
Fascinating stuff. Wow. A lot we can get into here.
Yeah.
Where my mind goes initially, what does dosage look like for somebody that wants to see this benefit? Is it getting a daily exposure, or is it getting multiple exposures a day? And then also talk about different times of the day and then how much of this IR light is available.
What's really interesting about this is that Glenn Jeffrey has looked at bees, he's looked at insects, he's looked at humans, and he tells me, he's like, look, Roger, it's the same every time. It's like a switch. You get about 15 to 20 minutes of this infrared light, and that's enough to get the system going. And further stimulation really has...
You know, this guy here, he's saying it goes through 12 layers of clothing. You could go outside with a long sleeve shirt on and you will benefit. So they say. I got to keep going here. Fiber optics, indoor lighting, energy efficiency, natural light quality. These things we'll get into, because transferring sunlight with fiber optics is awesome, I guess. A rooftop collector, modern systems. We'll look at the Perrins because it looked hard enough. But RJ's in a storm. I'll bet you my algorithm will take me right to it. It's only the third one? Oh, because of other nonsense?
Up to 70-mile-per-hour winds and also golf ball size tail, and the storm near Troy is producing hen egg size tail. That's the size of 2 inches over East Troy, moving through Burlington. Not seeing much rotation on this storm. I know there was a report of a rotating wall cloud, but we have not had much here as of lately. All need to be taking shelter now. This is a strong area of rotation. I'm very confident, guys, that we got a violent tornado in progress right now. I'm very confident.
This is in Appleton, Wisconsin.
You can see the wind very intense here. We're going to have another radar scan here in a second.
Appleton, Wisconsin gets destroyed by a tornado that came out of nowhere. And then they described what is called a hurricane has parked over Wisconsin. As we speak, I could go live and it's continuing to go through Indianapolis. This is the promised storm.
Extremely dangerous tornado in progress. Currently,
can
just
you hear
south
it?
of Appleton,
is it loud
Wisconsin.
enough?
This is hitting the city of Appleton right now. It is likely a deadly tornado, and I use those words very few far in between on live streams. But this is an incredibly dangerous tornado. This needs to be a tornado emergency.
And when they show later the before and after.
Also, guys, if you do have any photos or videos from Appleton or any Park, you guys are directly in line right now for a tornado that is moving down to the south. Also, Connor is on this.
This is Illinois, where my wife lives now.
Again, this is a rain-wrapped tornado, so I don't think we're going to be
a little less tight on the latest scan. It's right behind me, though. It's like a tornado on the ground. Literally,
I guess she's an adulterous remarried.
Hey, Ronald, for the $20 super chat, saying you're doing a great job. Appreciate that.
So, try to get down to Frankfurt here, but this thing's on my butt, dude.
I was looking for a spot where they show the before and after.
We're going to experience hurricanes. You're experiencing one in real time. This is where we're probably going to see significant severe weather for the next 2 hours. And we did have a tornado reported by storm chasers a few minutes ago west of Fond du Lac. You can see the hook The velocities aren't honestly
So
that
I'm
impressive
pretty sure
looking.
RJ's
Tornado
safe, but
Page is
wet.
located right here. They're just on the west side of Fond du Lac.
If
Also
he's
got the
hanging
Tornado Ryan
outside.
Shoal, just north there of Mayville, Wisconsin. I do think this is going to remain a pretty big concern as it makes its way down to the south, going towards Milwaukee over
See
the next
this
hour.
little town here, Markesan? I lived in that town before. I stayed there for 4 months or 6 months, I think.
Or two. A big surge of wind also going into West Bend, and I think that's how is that Kewaskum? I think is how you say it. Kewaskum. Valparaiso, Malden, and Couts are about to get slammed by this line of thunderstorms here over the next few minutes. Can we get Carmen in a slot? Is anybody able to put him in a slot? Maybe slot 1. I think he is currently near the line of thunderstorms here. We have a chaser that is over near Roselawn. Let's see if we can get him in the slot here in a second. But right now, that really significant wind.
This definitely tornado. We should go to the basement. Definitely. Oh, coming hard, bro.
They just stripped the trees right down to the trunk. And Appleton is a big town. Let's go, guys. Your news show.
Scenes like what you're seeing behind us common all across the Outagamie, Brown County communities, mostly Outagamie County, where more than half the county, including the city of Appleton, is still without power.
That's right. There are trees and power lines down really all over the place. The power company We Energy says that damage is as far as the eye can see. Now, Appleton is having a lot of problems with power right now. Some people could be without it for days. The police department there
That's a
says
very
that there
popular
were
road,
96
47.
mile-per-hour winds in the city last night, and that's just part of the problem. Fox 11's Chad Doran spent the day in Appleton and joins us now.
Also been without power since the storm early this morning, and that has powered thousands of homes in this area. And without power there, that means thousands of people here in Appleton will still be without power tonight.
It may be harder to find an area on
12 years ago.
height. We Energy says
This is
roughly
much worse today. I got to go back to the filter. Come on, thing. Two minutes ago.
Thanks for being flexible. Yes, appreciate it. Not a great choice here, but
This is the Monday everyone signed up for, right?
yeah.
It's a Monday. It's a Monday, all right. Okay. I'm sure I look really cool with all these things clipped on me. I'm gonna stay off the edge of the light. Hopefully that helps.
Wow.
Storm to pass through our area around midday today. However, we have
Okay, they're just getting out anything. It's only 2 minutes old and it's not really that good.
Beneath for the gift. Appreciate that.
It is bad. The things I saw.
By the way, here's some of the damage on the ground here over in Menasha, Wisconsin.
We don't have insurance money, America.
Continue to keep an eye on that. I want to go back to Marion, Indiana, because we might have a tornado. It's hard to tell
This
because
is
of how far away
live.
we are from the radar site, but there is a tightening here.
It's been going on
over the next half
for
hour, 45 minutes. Only one
3.5
in
hours.
Indiana, mainly for a wind threat. Got a couple little areas of rotation, so still keeping an eye out on that. Have a little max alert, low confidence max. All right, so there on the left was the bleachers that were damaged. We had a photo of that earlier. A place called the 6-7 Saloon. Actually, I can believe it. With it being 2026, it's believable. Would not be able to do it without your support, though. Definitely would not be possible without that. But we are continuing to grow our team. It was 2 people last year. Me and Riley. That was it.
Yeah, I started
Heights.
streaming this guy when the atmospheric river poured into the Hollywood Hills, declaring where the throne of Satan is now. He was still at university getting his meteorologist degree. And now he's got almost over 2 million subscribers.
Says, I'm getting ready to drive into the eye of the storm. The eye of the storm is quite the wild statement.
Did. What are you guys doing?
Had problems staying up. Going towards Griffith and Gary Griffith, Merrillville. You need
We'll
to be
come
taking
back
shelter.
to
We got a
this.
tornado.
Fiber optics.
Light. The Brown system is online 24/7 in order to provide performance data. Customers can receive information on the amount of hours of sunlight in the building, and the service organization can monitor its level to ensure maximum uptime. So it's easy how it works. Collectors on the roof, fiber optic cables leading the natural sunlight through the property. Luminaires are spreading the light inside, so you can enjoy your indoor stay.
We might have to use it, but I prefer the real thing. Understanding solar lighting brings it right down deep into the ground. A lot deeper than that, but wouldn't it be better? And the technology is there. And if there's any technology, they could make it cheap. They could give it to the people if it's what they wanted them to have. They could have been giving it to them for who knows how long. Now, activating your mitochondria from infrared light activates the citric acid cycle. It's a series of biochemical reactions commonly known as the Krebs cycle. And it is the deal. It's the amino acids, the reducing agent, metabolites. It's a specific route. And there are at least 3 alternative pathways. This was discovered in, the time of our deception, when they took our grandparents and parents and co-opted them. You're either in or you're out. You're going to be millstoned into believing a globe and atomic weapons and all of the nonsense as we cover up light so that the mitochondrial matrix is disturbed. I hate to make it sound like it could be this simple, but it's this simple. They give away these Nobel Prizes to these people for a reason. A chemical reaction that leads to the transformation of good things in your body to bad things if you don't get the right light. Oh, this is too much for one day. I'm going to citric acid. It looks like sugar. Come on. Is it even safe? What do you mean it's a weak organic acid? We don't even know what you're talking about. It's weak, right? This is its form, the colorless, weak acid. It's weak. It occurs in the metabolism, that sounds important, of all aerobic organisms, the ability to sweat. Is that it? You got to sweat. It's found in lemons and limes in abundance. Hundreds of times more than your common orange or grapefruit, but it affects everything. They use it in your cosmetics. It cleans, you've seen that orange powered cleaners. Citric acid, everyone. Welcome to the electrical transformation. They had these electric trains for so long. Then they said, no, we want to burn diesel and coal because we got this whole thing about messing up the sky, blocking the light, and all your efficiency is not what their god Satan wants. Quite a history, quite a production. The communal era where the mistresses could no longer have a slave and they had to sell their butt on the OnlyFans. That's because they don't like electric trains. It's not that easy. It's the crib cycle. I just wanted to, it's not easy, but they got to figure it out, or somebody figured it out. It's the crib cycle. Go ahead, show more algorithm stuff. Here's Tornado Pagey. She's one of the girls and a guy. They're a team that worked for Max Velocities, the Weather Channel. What are you doing, you guys? Oh, you must be trying to be glad that you lived. They drive right into the storms. That's what they do for a living. I wonder if they know the Earth is flat.
We saw what this one did at 11 a.m.
The world's largest dome has a menorah on it. Look at it. There's a menorah right there. 30,000 pieces of special glass made from a Tiffany pattern are at, it's what's called the Chicago Cultural Center. It's got a menorah right there. Doric is the lowest order of the, you know, how you decorate your columns and your capitals. Usually for freed slaves, go ahead, get something done, think you're big, but you're still a freed slave. Up on the top of the Tiffany dome, I'll show you. There's the Cultural Center. Okay, here's the dome. It's the Zodiac. That's what they tell me. Huh. No, that one doesn't look like the Zodiac. Oh, this is the Grand Stained Glass Restoration. Huh. Now these, so here's the proof that it's the Zodiac. They got the Zodiac signs on it. Anybody recognize which ones they are or what they mean? Is this the Scorpio one? Pretty nice. I guess this is the legacies that are great. Again, in 1930s, they didn't know that we used a U. Of course they did. They used a U in what they call the Declaration of Independence, not a double VW. Genius. Legacies to our children. That's what this was built for, to leave a legacy to their children. It didn't work. We failed that test. But we got, what is this? Infralapsarianism, sublapsarianism, and supralapsarianism. That goes back to these guys. So I'm going to bring this here. It's easy to reference. Go.
That's the way you'll always find that.
That's right.
Yeah.
However, it appears that Satan was allowed to deceive, and they had a choice to make, yes or no.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I don't know how else you can explain it or
Right.
understand it or grasp it. God sure didn't make them do it.
Right.
You know, he didn't say, you know, go ahead and do this or make them do it in any way. It was their choice. And this serpent gets into the garden with the sole purpose of doing what he does. And that is, I want to destroy the image of God in everything.
Right.
And so if I can get her to sin.
Is that what he thought? when he first sinned? Let's look and see. We know it talks about the first sin was in heaven. I want to look at that. So the devil, Diablo, if you follow practicing sin, you're of the devil, because from beginning, Diablo, it's that same devil, he's been sinning. And for this reason, the Son of God appeared. It was revealed. Technically, he appeared, revealed, manifested, showed himself miraculously after he was dead, walked through a wall and goes, "What's happening?" And it was made manifest to the people who believe in their heart, who God has shown mercy to. They are called, chosen, elect, predestined, known from before the foundation of the world to be called. Many are called, few are chosen. It would appear that there's a difference between called and chosen and faithful. The one manifested will have us be as people who are dying, living as it could be. Our lives are passing before our very eyes, and we're living it in real time. Make sure we die in faith. Isn't that the goal? It is. You know it. I know it. And the American people know it. So do you, friends from those other nations.
They will die. They will die. They will do what I tell them will not happen. What God has told them will happen.
Correct.
You will die. No, you're not going to die. You're going to listen. This is what he wanted. He wanted to be like God. So what does he tempt her with? You will be like God.
Right.
Here's what people like to argue about. We got to get this bigger. Lapsarianism, lapse, refers to the doctrine that mankind is a fallen being. Lapsarianism refers to the 5 elected logical decrees of God's logical order. 5 of them? Lapsarian views on order of decrees of God. Calvinists reject Lapsarianism views for various reasons. This man rejected both because he sees the entire system of God's plan of salvation as non-GMO, with each part mutually dependent and determinative, rather than some parts causing the others. There is infra, there is supra, and there are decrees. Save some and condemn others, create the elect and those who remain in their sin and are not offered grace. Infralapsarianism tips its toes into that view with create human beings. The third decree could be, what is possible is that render the fall certain, by which all deserve to be condemned. Well, that, as a who deserved to be condemned, but now is like, look, everybody, I was shown visions, and this is how you read Revelation 20, and I know how to walk to gold because the rocks are the body parts of titans, and I can prove it. Another one is save some from condemnation, but leave others condemned. Well, isn't that something that they already talked about? That's only infra? Infra, not both believe, as the Bible obviously teaches, there is an elect. They get the grace. Secure salvation is only for those who he have known from before the foundation of the world. These guys, they believed it and white power. It's like the Mormons believe that and white power. Everybody believes it in white power. There's something about a light to all the nations that maybe aren't all white that has been missing for a long time. Stop it. Go back to something else. Is this another algorithm check? This is the slowest internet ever. Oh, it's the sunlight one. Pause that again. The hall, the thing, the infrasupra, the lapse, in that it is a slip. The lapse is a slip or a falling from their original state of innocence. The distinction between them is sequence. Is it really? The order in which God determined things to happen. In what order did God create humanity, allow the fall, elect some to salvation, and provide salvation for humanity? Ultimately, creation. Hey, we kind of get it. There's only 4 here. Okay. All right. Psalm 78. God rained down manna on them to eat. In the New King James, he gave them bread from heaven, not corn from heaven, grain from heaven, food, grain, grain, bread, grain. It's grain. You got it. It's grain of heaven. He gave them the grain of heaven. Look, hey, look, it's Dagon, except it has a prefix and a suffix. It's Dagon, really. They had plenty of corn, wheat, and wine. Look at them all. It's all a pretty solid root word to me. So they had abundance of grain, and God gave them angel food grain, the manna. Huh. He rained it on them. Don't get me started on the rain. Sounds like I'm crazy that it didn't rain anymore on earth for 6 days. Seems impossible. Must have been a different kind of world. Manna. The name thereof was manna. So this is Exodus, big time Exodus, used in Exodus. This is where it came down, still in the Old Testament. They say that's not a good translation in a description of it. And how they did it, you whatever you gathered, that was enough. It was crazy, right? I don't know where this light thing is coming from, but it's being manifested. Wow. What a crazy world. And anyway, so there's the storm, and there's what I'm thinking. I think I will take a second and look up Isaiah 14:13. I used to have this one job, and supposedly they only gave it to me because a lot of times people forget. Like when you walk through a door and you do one thing, you forget what you're looking for. Somehow, when I really focus on it, you could have yourself a knack for remembering, the verses that you're going to. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. You said in your heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will raise my throne. That's fairly consistent right there, right? Above the stars of God, above God's stars, I will set my throne on high above the stars. It looks like it's pretty cut and dried. I will sit enthroned on the mount of the assembly. He wanted to be like the Most High Jesus Christ. There is only one creative Elohim, and it wasn't going to happen. I'm not. I I guess I'm putting out there that the other created Elohim, because there were other created Elohim. There had to be, or there couldn't have been this whatever type of godly council we're looking at in the Psalm of the 82. Because we're definitely looking at there, God presides in a great assembly. He renders judgment among the gods. It says among the heavenly beings. It's a divine council. You've heard it that way. Congregation of the divine among the, and it says small g, renders judgment. Renders is an interesting word also. There's no doubt he said it's a divine congregation. Okay, what are we looking at here? Gods or fake gods? I'm clicking the button. Okay, it's he was a priest of God Most High. This word means God, goodly, great, idol, when they're applying it to, they don't want to admit that they're calling something else a God, but the mighty one, God, and then of course they have to put it in gods because of, the other one, but it is God. Thus they spoke, you, thou God, seest, hey, I am God Almighty. Strong's Concordance in the Hebrew, 410. A lot of words for God in the Bible. So it was that type of divine counsel, and he took his stand. In the beginning, God created 430, the most common use for the Elohim. But in Genesis 1:27, a Elohim created in the singular, because they can't create. And he does render judgment among, there they have it, not capitalized. It's the same word with the same spelling, because in the Genesis, didn't he make them in their image? He did. He told a group of Elohim, a council, you thought you could do better than me? You run a group of people. We'll make them like we do. And let us make them. And we're going to do it. Plural. But in the next verse, when he says, okay, and so he created them singular in his image. Third person singular. Masculine singular. And created he them, masculine singular. But he created them male and female. Crazy thing about the whole deal. Is that in the next chapter, there was nobody that could till the ground? 6 days, no rain. God's blessing the seventh day, taking a rest. Look at everything that's good. Now, here's an account of a new creation. No shrub of the field had yet appeared on the earth. No plant, no field. God had not sent it to rain and there was no man. no human, nobody like me and you made in the size, or our cubit is an angel's cubit. And God didn't create in his image, but the same Lord God formed man from dust of Eretz and breathed the breath of life into his nostrils. So man was made by God from the food of what the serpent was cursed to eat, the Eretz. And then he breathed pneuma, the Zoe of Zoe, into his nostrils, and then man became a living being. But when Eve wasn't good to be alone, so God, according to him, what's suitable? Like in Romans 12, what's your reasonable service? What's your suitable situation here? A counterpart, a suitable helper, a suitable helper, a suitable helper for him. Somebody to be in the presence of, somebody to hang with, somebody to, let nature take its course. But she is basically the perfect helper. You can see those. We all know what help is, and we all know what help was. And it's hard to get it while it's changing, but when it changes and they don't want to help anymore, it becomes obvious. Let's look at Job. As far as we're going to wrap it up with some of this counsel in heaven stuff. Now, I'm saying that in verse 6, Satan, there's another time when they are having a council in heaven, and the heavenly court, Elohim, I'm sure they had their thing going on. And it would appear that although he may be Elohim type situation, Satan can interrupt these councils and, hey, where are you going at? But the whole situation comes down to, from the 1 John 3:8, there was a sin in heaven at a time when I don't think Satan knew that God knew he was sinning. Things went on, and eventually it came down to the dividing of the thing. The third of the angels fell. And an object lesson for the surviving angels was, we'll give somehow a different world where these other Elohim, and it would seem that the spirit, the king of the spirit, the Elohim of Greece, of Persia, withstood the Archangel Michael for 21 days while he was trying to get a message to Daniel. Okay, they're still there. They still have power over it. Their Elohim are not. They're bound underneath. And with the people that get the gospel preached to them later, that's a whole different topic. But do you understand where we're at in this new level of thinking? And I don't need people trying to go, well, we need to add to the Bible because you're leaving out all the Enoch. If you can't prove it from what is known scripture, and you want to bring in Enoch and the baggage it carries with the Apocrypha from the Jesuit Roman Catholic tradition, then you fucking go ahead. That's on your own head. You'll pay for it because this is a flat earth nation. The golden age is past. The mud flood was Armageddon. All of these things are true, except it's not the Nephilim blood, it's the sin in you. Go back and read Genesis chapter 6, verse 5. The reason God caused Noah's flood was not anything mentioning Nephilim blood. The sin of man was so great, it could deceive a people into believing a trinity where a woman was in charge mediating between a too harsh father and a too nice son. That's the truth. Get it through your orphan brain train that your parents and your grandparents, like mine, were either in on it or they were abused by it, millstoned to have you sit in front of a desk with a globe and then going, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. We're not run by satanic children eating pedophiles. Well, we are. And that's why I'm here to warn you. That's why me and my friends aren't ever going to tell you anything else. Amen. Hallelujah. Aho aloha. Arrivederci. Ciao. Sanara. Auf Wiedersehen. Nakamade. Adios, amigos, from the border of southern Colorado and New Mexico. It is a very apprehensive about the future prophet Salt Paco saying, that's how I like to say goodbye. So I will for a while.